Hello teachers in the Milton School District. My name is Dan Tricarico and I am author of a book called The Zen Teacher, Creating Focus, Simplicity, and Tranquility in the Classroom. And first of all, I just wanted to thank you for having a book study on my book. That means a lot to me and I really appreciate it. I hope not only did you enjoy the book, but I hope that it has helped you create some strategies and tools for lowering your stress level and increasing the opportunities for your self-care, because it's so important. I was asked to kind of share with you some strategies about how to do those things going back into the new school year. And instead of just listing a whole bunch of strategies, I thought I'm going to leave you with one specific strategy that I practice and that is really helpful, and I hope that it works for you too. And you may appreciate this thought too, but I just, you know, there just aren't enough acronyms in education, so I created one of my own. All of the greatest meditation teachers have an acronym for how to approach meditation and how to approach lowering your stress through some mindful practice. So I came up with one called a basic exercise in mindfulness. And the acronym, as you can see, is BASIC, B.A.S.I.C. So that's really the easiest thing to keep in mind, is the acronym is BASIC. And what that stands for is this: when you start to feel that tension and that stress and that anxiety rise, just remember BASIC. And there are just several steps in this process. Step number one is the B, which is breathing. Just take a moment and get in touch with the breathing impulse. Just stop and breathe. Breathing is the most fundamental unit of existence that we have, and people just don't think about it because it's so natural, it's so second nature. We just don't think about it. But if you stop and get connected to your breath, it's going to center you and put you right there in the moment. So that's the B. Start just by tuning into your breathing. The A means acknowledgement. And what that refers to is just acknowledge what's going on. I'm feeling stressed. My colleague said something that annoyed me. I had a fight with my spouse. Okay, just acknowledge what is. Now here's the key thing. You need to acknowledge it without judgment. Okay, my coworker said something annoying. Boy, they're a jerk. That's not what you want to do. You just want to say they said something and it annoyed me. Just absolute acknowledgement of what happened, just all facts. So you're just acknowledging things, okay? Then you go to the S, which stands for stillness. This is really hard in 2018, right? To find a place and a time just to be still, especially in education. But maybe it's a moment between classes, maybe it's at lunch, maybe it's on your way out for the day or on the way in, something like that. You just find whatever moment between classes, maybe, you just find whatever moment you can to stop and be still. So you've tuned into your breathing, you've acknowledged what's going on, and now you're taking a moment just to be still. Why do we need to be still? That's the I, because once we're breathing and we've acknowledged what's going on and we're still, we check in with our intuition. The intuition is that little voice inside that tells you what's going on. But you know what? Here's the magic thing. Intuition doesn't scream. It doesn't say, hey, Danny, pay attention. This thing is happening and you need to be aware of it. That's not how it works, and you know this. It's a quiet voice inside. So the only way to hear that quiet little voice is to be still and silent and calm. So once you get to that point, you can listen to your intuition and say, okay, what's going on? What is the problem and what do I need to do? Okay, so you've acknowledged you're breathing, you've acknowledged what's happening, you're still, and now you're listening to the intuition about, okay, what's not happening, what's not in alignment, what's not happening organically that needs to happen, and where do I need to go? So then you've listened to that intuition and you can start to take steps towards fixing the problem or realigning things that's more in keeping with where you need to be and where you want to be. And finally, and what I feel is the most important step in the process, is the C. And the C stands for compassion. Compassion is probably one of those very undervalued things in our society. Everybody wants to be a tough guy, everybody wants to be strong, everybody wants to look out for number one, but they don't think about the other person, they don't think about taking care of each other or themselves. And so the C for compassion is the most important step, I think, in this whole process. And there's two parts. First of all, there's compassion for others. If that coworker said something that annoyed you and you've gone through this whole process, you can stop at this moment and say, okay, wow, Maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they have some story that I don't know about. Maybe there's something going on in their life I'm completely unaware of. You kind of put yourself in their shoes and see what's going on. The second part, and again, of the most important step in this process, which is compassion. This is the most important step, I think, of the two steps in compassion, which is compassion for yourself. Especially as teachers, we're givers, we give all the time. We don't usually turn that lens of compassion on ourselves. It's really hard to do. So let me be that little voice outside your head saying, it's okay if you show compassion to yourself. It's okay if you give yourself grace. It's okay if you give yourself forgiveness and say, you know what, that wasn't perfect. That didn't go the way I wanted it to go. And I sound like Stuart Smalley on Saturday Night Live, and that's okay, right? It's okay if you didn't do everything perfectly, and you get up, you dust yourself off, and you try again, okay? So let me review that really quickly. B.A.S.I.C, basic. B is breathing. You just get in touch with your breathing impulse. A is acknowledgement without judgment. You just notice, hey, what's going on a very basic factual level. S is stillness. You just find a moment and a place to be still. I is checking in with your intuition to say, okay, where do I need to go? What are the leadings? What are the callings? What's the little voice telling me about where I need to be and how I can realign things? And then C is compassion, both for others and for yourself. Okay, so I really appreciate, again, you doing the book study. You pretty much can find me all over the internet. You can email me if you have questions at teachingzen@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter at thezenteacher.com. I have a blog at www.thezenteacher.com. One of my callings, one of my missions is to help teachers make it through, because I was on the road to burnout, and the ways that I talk about in the book and in my blog really helped me get through this. And the basic exercise in mindfulness is something that I practice. I wouldn't share it with you if I didn't think it worked and if I didn't do it myself. Just like we tell our students, I wouldn't ask you to do anything I wouldn't do myself. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, let me know. You can find me all over the place. And thank you again. And I wish you a great, great school year. And I hope everything goes well. I wish you peace and love. And remember to take care of yourselves. And remember that you're enough and we need you. Thank you.